Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here on this Friday as we look back on last night's Europa Conference League match with Hearts and RFS. We'll look at the other matches involving British teams, and we're going to look ahead to the Scottish Premiership this weekend as well. Games on the Saturday and the Sunday. So, lots to talk about. Ruffy and Tam are here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Share it with your friends. Thank you to so many of you who are listening to the podcast, as well as downloading the PLZ Soccer app to get all the breaking news. And of course, you can watch it live on the phone as well. So, with that in mind, let's reflect on Hearts. We thought they would win. 2-1 was that key scoreline, Ruffy. They got there in the end, but it was a little bit shaky at one point.
Yeah, it was. I think they switched off after they got the 2 goals, and let them come into the game a wee bit. But it was great to see the place rocking. It was good. We wanted a Scottish club to do well, and at the end, okay, they've had 2 wins, which is good, but you could see the relief in everybody's face at the end of the game, particularly Robbie Neilson.
Yeah, it had that feeling as they came out of the traps flying, Tam, that they might have won by 4 or 5.
Yeah, getting the early goal I think was key. I think Josh Ginnelly was outstanding all night, caused them a lot of problems. A great ball in, Shanklin finished it, and then get the quick goal Halliday. A bit of a deflection, but 2-0 up, you think, as you said, could be 3 or 4 here, but they grew into the game a little bit, scored a cracking goal, which kind of changed the game. Both teams in the second half had opportunities, but I think Hearts were the better team, deserved to win, and as we said, they didn't qualify, but they're getting that money. I think the 2 wins is near enough £1 million, plus the money they've made from the other games, so I think that's financially a big boost for Hearts.
Yeah, one of the players that caught my eye who picked up man of the match is someone that I have looked at time and time again and thought, don't fancy him. A little bit hesitant at times, but slowly but surely, Robbie Neilson must be working with him with his backroom staff. The boy Toby Sibbick, deserved a lot of praise for his contribution.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's took a bit of criticism at Hearts, but he was excellent in the defensive position last night. Obviously, Kingsley went off injured as well, so he was back there himself and really was solid. I think that's probably his best performance that I've seen anyway in a Hearts jersey, so I think he can take that forward and maybe secure that position.
That was the downer of the whole thing, Ruffy. You kick off in the game and you know that there's no slip up by Fiorentina, and suddenly there's nothing to play for apart from pride, and as I pointed out to Tam, points mean money.
Yeah, it would have been disappointing, there's no doubt. There's no getting away from it. I mean, they can fudge it all they want, but the players would have been disappointed, after hearing that score. But you've still got to go out and win the game, and they did that. And again, they can use the game in Turkey as another experience level for them for next year.
Yeah, and with that in mind, bearing in mind what Ange Postecoglou had mentioned earlier on in the week, Ange Postecoglou said of Celtic, in that group, we got what we deserved. I think Hearts got what they deserved because, quite simply, the other 2 teams, I thought Istanbul and, of course, Fiorentina were a level above them.
Oh, by far. I think they were a different level. I think you see the 3 results so far against them. It was 3 comprehensive defeats. They've beat the team that we thought they would beat. They're a Latvian team who were fortunate to beat Linfield. So I don't think they were a great side. So Hearts picked up what I thought they would pick up. The 2 wins against them. You'd like to see them maybe a wee bit more competitive against the other 2 teams, but I think the best 2 teams went through, by far. I think that both of them are on 10 points, so I think that Hearts have got to take that forward into next season, as Ruffy says, and try and get better again.
Yeah, well, Robbie Neilson reckons there's a lot to be positive about after that win.
Obviously, we've been through a wee difficult period, but we've been playing against some really good teams. This European campaign was always going to be difficult for us. It's the first exposure to that, the travel, coming back, playing on the Sunday. So we knew that this period going up to the World Cup break was always going to be difficult. For us, we have to try and maintain the league form as much as we can to be around about that 3rd position once we get to the World Cup. Then after that, we start to get players back. We start to hopefully kick on from there.
Well, every manager likes to try and paint the picture and put it in context because, as you know, Ruffy, fans tend to look at things in a knee-jerk situation of the here and now, or of what's gone before if they're on a bad run, if they're dropping points. But I think, managers don't get the time to say, well, we're missing 4 or 5 players. Fans want the results, and I think Hearts are looking at this next period and saying to themselves, this is where we've got to really start to push with third place in mind.
I don't think they realised how much it would affect them playing the 2 games a week. You know, I think it was a big shock to them. And then I think the biggest burden was Halkett getting injured, you know, in that game. He's a big player for them, and ever since then defensively they've been quite weak. But I think basically, you know, they getting used to the Thursday and then the Sunday with all these injuries was a hard shift for them. So no, I think he said everything very positive there, and I think he's done like Ange's done out at Parkhead. You know, I think the fans have bought into everything he said, but again, once the games are finished, he's got to start winning games.
Yeah, I don't really buy into at times managers saying, you know, this is their first time in Europe and we've got to get used to it. That's fine if you're then regularly in Europe and you're able to have a base team that you tweak every now and then to enhance it, to make it better. If Hearts can continually get into these stages, you know, I thought they should have been even in the Europa League, although they would have been well out of their depth in that division. But if they can utilise the money they're getting and start to, you know, from a base level, add a wee bit more quality into Europe again next season, and the manager and the players start to understand how to play European football, then all well and good.
Yeah, there's a real opportunity, I think, for Hearts now to go and secure that third place and get into Europe every season. I think the money that they've earned gives them a huge financial advantage over Aberdeen, Hibs, you know, other teams that were in contention for that third position. So he's got to use the money wisely. You know, he's got a big squad there. He'll try and strengthen, I think, again in January. But you look at some of the players they've got missing. You know, Boyce, Beningame, Halkett. That's a real spine of your team. And that's only 3 I've mentioned. If there's another 5 or 6 that probably could play in the team. So I think that they've got a good squad at Hearts, and I think if they can add 2 or 3 more, I think they'll be favourites again to finish third this season, because I've always said that once they're out of Europe, you know, and I agree with Robbie there, once they're out of Europe and they come back in January and they get some players back, I think they'll motor up the table, and I think if they're in touching distance to third by then I think they'll be favourites to finish third again. Yeah,
because Dave Cormack says that he's more than willing to, you know, write off some of the losses and back Aberdeen and back the manager, which the results are suggesting with their 3 wins out of 3 in the last games, that he is, you know, he's starting to reap the rewards of what Jim Goodwin's doing. But financially, I think Hearts are way above them at the moment.
Yeah, I think they are, but I mean, they are a wee bit behind. You know, they have to catch up. You know, I do think again, whereas in previous years we didn't have an Aberdeen challenge, we didn't have a Hibs challenge, we had a Hearts challenge. I think Hibs and Aberdeen will make it a challenge this year. I think it'll be a competitive for that third place. I think Hearts are the favourites, but I think Aberdeen and Hibs will have something to say about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk Scottish Premiership in a minute. We're going to talk European Super League. It just won't go away, Ruffy. But there's the group. This is with 1 game left, which I think most of us consider the game against Istanbul could be a difficult night for Hearts again, but no surprises in the way it all finished up. That's according to possibly the form that everybody would have had before a ball was kicked, Tam.
Yep, I think that you would expect that. I think the only kind of surprise is that the Latvian team got a couple of points, a couple of draws, you know, against better teams. So they proved that they could step up. But you know, I think when the group was made, when the draw was made, I think that Hearts would have been looking to try and finish second. I think Fiorentina would probably have been the favourites to win it. They might still win it, but I think Istanbul, you know, they showed at Tynecastle that they're a top team as well, and they are, you know, at the top end of the Turkish league. So spent a lot of money. So I think Hearts are where they should be, you know, third place, and beat the Latvian team twice.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that it's only the winners of this they go through and the rest go into a playoff in the conference?
Yeah, why?
No, I thought it was the top 2 always go into the last 16 or the last 32 or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it goes to a playoff for them, and then we'll get down to quarter-finals, semi-finals.
So that means the Turkish teams get something to play for.
Yes, absolutely. So that's not good news, is it, Ruffy?
No.
No, absolutely not. Nice of you just to put a real dampener on that for everybody. There's probably a couple of pundits somewhere really looking forward to going to see Hearts in Turkey, and now they're not. Other results, just before we get on to the Scottish Premiership, I think that's the case, Ruffy. I will check it.
I read that, yeah.
The other British teams involved, Arsenal know they're through anyway, but I think they wanted top spot, still to be determined, lost to PSV. Manchester United, it's amazing, a week's a long time. Ronaldo looked down in the dumps, out of all consideration, and then comes back into that United side. They beat Sheriff Tiraspol 3-0. He scores, and all's well in the garden. I have to tell you, Tam, have you ever, in a game, maybe sat on the ball, played keepy-uppy, tried a wee flick here and there? Some players find it disrespectful. I thought the timing was more critical on Anthony's little twirl over on the right flank for Manchester United.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I think if you're 5-0 up, maybe do that. But
5-0 up? Is that not even more disrespectful?
No, I wouldn't do it personally, because there was no end product to it. It was showboating, and then he hits the ball at the park. So I don't think the manager would have been too happy with him. I know he hooked him at half time. So I didn't like it at all. I don't think he would do it against a big team. I think he took the mickey a wee bit because it was only Sheriff they were playing. So I think that I don't think he'll do it again. I think the manager will have words with him.
And yet, funnily enough, we as a nation embrace and look back with great fondness to Jim Baxter playing keepy-uppy at Wembley, Ruffy, don't we?
Yeah, and you're the wee man sitting in the ball, and wee Betty sat in the ball as well. It is disrespectful, but the fans love it. If it's one of your team that do it, it's great, but if it's one of the opposition, then it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So,
what's your take on it, though? Because at times, some people look back, it is an entertainment, and I understand the professionalism of don't take the mickey. I think one of the guys, Robbie Savage, alluded to last night, had the number 16, Roy Keane, been in the Man United team, he would have went over and just given him what for. But there are elements of skill that sometimes you think, if I think of people who've got the audacity and the absolute skill to do something that fans go home and talk about and dream about, I can remember Ronaldinho passing the ball with his back. It was incredible. I can remember Lubomir Moravcik actually controlling the ball with his backside against Hearts. Some Rangers fans will look back and say, well, what about Kanchelskis standing on the ball at Hampden?
United, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he looks up like that, and people think, there's wee bits of callousness.
Yogi wanted to smash him.
Yes.
Yogi always talks about it.
But this is the problem, isn't it? Because if you want to do that and you've got some psycho on the other side.
If there's ever going to be a fight in a training session, it's going to be when somebody nutmegs somebody. Because if you get nutmegged in a training session, you get ripped.
Yes.
And then that's the next tackle. You're just waiting in the next tackle coming in, and woof, there you go. But getting nutmegs embarrassing, I think, as well.
Yeah. Have you ever witnessed? Is there a moment of sheer audacity that you look back on in the game that you can think of, a wee bit of special skill? That's
just a nutmeg. I think somebody nutmeg. I remember George Best nutmeg some boy, and the other one I remember is Jimmy Johnson. Was it Davy Provan? Where he went by him, and then he just come back and went by him again. Yeah. He went, here I'll go again.
I'm glad you narrowed it down to one player. I think Jimmy did that to more than a few. To Terry Cooper of Leeds United. Sam?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
No?
You're right, especially if they call it.
Say something
especially if they shout nuts and Meggie. That's worse.
Yeah, then you're in trouble.
Then you just want to two-foot them.
Just hang about waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are more than a few down through history who have got all the time and patience in the world. So that's how it all panned out. They're great for West Ham as well with that, albeit a penalty against Silkeborg.
Yeah, they're up there. I thought they were going to struggle this year with their league form, but in Europe, they've gained the experience of being in Europe for that time, and their players are responding as well. So yeah, a good run as well.
Okay, it's Scottish Premiership this weekend. Really looking forward to it. There's a couple of championship games I'll get Ruffy's thoughts on from tonight, but here is what we can look forward to over Saturday and Sunday. Dundee United against Motherwell, Hibs against St Mirren. I'm going to go through and watch that match. Adam, our reporter, will be at Rangers against Aberdeen, at St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Livingston against Celtic, and then Ross County take on Hearts. So those two games on the Sunday. Lots to look forward to. The big game on the Saturday is undoubtedly Rangers against Aberdeen. James Tavernier, the Rangers captain, obviously was speaking after the game in midweek there where they lost to Napoli. And looking ahead to Aberdeen, he knows that not only the players but the fans are looking at this and saying this is a must-win.
You never want to lose a game, but the positives that we can take out is obviously we tried to, build, create chances, get in the faces, and I felt like we did that second half. We turned the ball over from them quite a lot of times, and create two massive chances, and they're the moments where it can change the game. But so there is positives to take, and we've just got to carry that moving on forward in the massive game of the weekend, which is a must-win.
Yeah, and then some. I mean, some people have obviously got Giovanni Van Bronckhorst maybe with a little bit of time, but I think we're now going into, DEFCON 1? I think we're now in this situation where Giovanni knows that this league title cannot be, over before they get to that World Cup break. He's got to win every game.
No, I think they've got to win every game until the break. I think they've got to stay within touching distance of Celtic. I think any slip up now in the next couple of weeks, I think that he'll pay the price for his job. I think that Aberdeen at home especially, there's no love lost between both those teams, and Aberdeen have got a dreadful record we spoke about at Ibrox. So I think if they come down and take anything at all, and Celtic extend that gap again, maybe 6 points or 7 points, then I think that'll be, as they say in Scotland, he's teed be out.
Yeah, and there's no slack at all cut for him, Ruffy, with regards to injuries. People are just looking and saying, everybody gets injuries. Put your team out, win the game.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting slaughtered for all angles. They're even getting slaughtered for the way that they play. They're saying they're one-dimensional, just getting the ball wide and throwing it into the box and hoping the centre forward gets in the end of it. So if you're a football player and you're in a team like that, then you want to prove all these people wrong. That should be the inspiration for them at the weekend against Aberdeen. Listening to what everybody's saying, and then you go out and you have to perform. But they're getting Aberdeen at the wrong time, because Aberdeen are got a lot of confidence, not away from home, but they got that win last week. But I've been quite impressed with their front two, and I think their front two, the way Rangers' defence is just now, I think the front two could cause them problems. And the one thing that can happen at Ibrox is Aberdeen score first. Because if Aberdeen score first, that crowd will turn, and then the players have to respond to that, and they haven't done that so far. Yeah,
well, 12 goals scored, 3 conceded, just that one loss to Dundee United. And the last 3 wins back-to-back, suddenly they're a goal threat, Aberdeen. And I think, as Ruffy pointed out there, Jim Goodwin has already stated, silence the crowd first of all, then frustrate them, then try and get the crowd on the Rangers players' backs. Then we've got a chance, he said.
Yeah, I think I've played at Ibrox myself. I think the first 15-20 minutes is crucial in any game, particularly this one when Rangers are under pressure. If you can go there and you can silence the crowd, you can start to hear the mumbles, for the support, then you're doing well. I think if Rangers get the early goal, a lot of pressure goes off their shoulders. So I think for Aberdeen, the first 20 minutes is vital. Can they keep it 0-0 or even nick a goal, and really see what Rangers are made of? If Rangers get the bottle, they come back and win the game. So no, I think it sets up for a cracking game. As we said, Aberdeen, this season got a lot more goals in their team. Miovski and Duke look impressive up front, as you just mentioned. So I think it'll be a tough test for Rangers, but I would still fancy Rangers to win. I think their back's against the wall, and I think they might just put in a big performance tomorrow.
March 2019 in the Cup, Rangers lost to Aberdeen at Ibrox. You're actually looking, you're saying to yourself, the record is abysmal. They don't have the right mentality. Sometimes they don't have the right clientele, in my mind, Ruffy, that is capable of going there. And of course we can go back. I said they were waiting that long to beat Rangers at Ibrox in the league. I think it was 1991-92. I think I was working at the game. It was such a long time ago for STV. But the last league win was December 2018. Scott McKenna scoring the winning goal. It's a long time. They're few and far between.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. If you go to Celtic or Rangers and you get a result, the next time you go back, you're saying, well, we got a result the last time, we can get it this time. But if you keep saying every time we go here we get battered, it's the wrong attitude to go into the game, because you're not going into with a lot of confidence. So they have to rectify that. And Jim Goodwin has to convince that a lot of them who probably haven't played Rangers at Ibrox to just go out and enjoy it, enjoy the experience. They're on good form, and hope they can get a win.
Yeah, have you posted your predictions yet?
But I'll tell you what it is now. I'm
right,
going to
good.
go Rangers 2-0.
Yeah,
I'm always going to go 2-0. He always does it.
I know, it's his favourite scoreline. I think Aberdeen can score, but I still think, because the pressure that's on Rangers this weekend is immense, I can't see them slip up, because I think it'll cost the manager his job. So I'm going to go Rangers to win it 2-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 Rangers. I think Rangers will win. I just think that there's always been teams on a good run going to Parkhead and Ibrox, and that comes to an abrupt end at times. So I think it might again tomorrow. So I'll go for 3-1 to Rangers.
Yeah. The other thing that we always try and put in perspective, you've obviously got to try and offer Ruffy a sense of balance in these things, is quite simply, Rangers are 4 points off Celtic. They're in the semi-final of the Cup. So there's no tragedy yet. There's a battle, and sometimes 4 points, fans look and think, oh, wait a minute, you need to win 2 games from somewhere, and the form doesn't indicate that that's on. But if there's one team that you're looking for Celtic to be playing, it's Livingston, at Livingston, for a potential banana skin. And I like David Martin's attitude to it. He says, I think this could be the game where we, if we're going to frustrate them, we'll play 2 banks of 5 first of all.
If Rangers win their game against Aberdeen, all eyes will be on that game at Livy, because everybody knows that on their day, Livy can make it difficult for anybody. But it's up to Celtic to go along there and prove to everybody that they're not frightened to go into anywhere or playing against anybody. So, but it's not a pressure game for Celtic, but it's a game you're going to keep your eye on, because if they don't go out the right way, they could end up. I don't see them getting beat, but I could see them maybe getting a draw. But no.
Oh, hold on. We might as well do it as a weekly, because I'd like to apologise to anybody they'll never get the last 30 seconds back that Ruffy's just wasted.
They could get a draw, but they won't.
No, they could get a draw, but I don't think they will.
Well, with all due respect, apart from this constant analysis of Celtic in European football, which I think has given us a false look at things domestically. If there's no criticism of him, he had a blip against St Mirren, but I've watched him over the last few weeks, and they look as if they're going through the gears again, just at that point where Ange Postecoglou probably is looking at the World Cup break and thinking, really could do without that, because domestically, Tam, I think they're like a well-oiled machine again.
Yeah, they are, but he's lost at Livingston before. He went on that great run after that, obviously that defeat, but I think this will be a tricky game for Celtic. I think that Livingston at home, they make it difficult for teams. They're hard working, they're physical. They've got a wee bit of quality as well. I think that people don't realise. So I think this will be a difficult game, but I think Celtic will just edge it. Celtic have just got a little bit more quality. I think Celtic will be more, ready for this physical battle. When they first come in, Ange come in, you get the ball down, play it all times. You can't do that at Livingston. You've got to mix it up. And I think they will mix it up, and I think they'll win the game narrowly. I think I'll go for 2-1 to Celtic.
Yeah, four wins and 2 losses in their 6 games at home in the league, Livingston. So they're certainly, and I like the way they go about things. Apart from anything else, as we've had David Martindale in the studio, which I thoroughly enjoyed, Ruffy. They play good football. Yes, they are physical. Yes, they do capitalise on set pieces as well. But that's great credit to David Martindale, because I think he can mix it up. He's got so many different ways that they can play. If you want to fight, they can fight. If you want to try and score a goal from a set piece, they've got players that are more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, I thought tactically last week against Rangers, he got it bang on. Just get the ball wide, let them fire balls into the box. 2 big centre halves, one every header. Played to their strengths rather than Rangers'. But it'll be different against Celtic. I mean, Celtic won't play, predictable like that. There'll be more threat in the Celtic team, with the players that they've got. I think Celtic will win, but I think it'll be a right battle for them to win it.
Tight, or one of your usual ones?
One of
comfortable?
My tight.
Is that a tight comfortable?
It's a tight 2-0.
He's not. He's turning.
He's got tight 2-0. You've got comfortable 2-0.
Nothing up to the 88th minute or something. But I think eventually they will win 2-0.
I'm going to go 3-1 Celtic.
2-1 Celtic for me.
Yeah, but I think Livingston more than capable of scoring against them. They always seem to give up a goal, but just looking at it, I think of the 2 big games that we're talking about, I think Celtic domestically are a different animal. And the one thing he's got, apart from anything else, he still has that bench change that he can go through, Tam, when it's not going according to plan. He always seems to be at that point in a game, Ange Postecoglou, where he goes, now there's 3 coming on, I'm going to make those 3 changes.
Yeah, I think that's the big advantage that Celtic Rangers have got. You know, you can 5 subs now, and I think he always does it. You know, in the 60th minute or something like that. Celtic could bring on 3 quality players. You could bring on Kyogo, Abada, and Forrest, for example. You know, and when our team's tired, you know, he sees these three players coming on. It's very difficult for the smaller squads, smaller teams. So you're right, they've got a lot of strength and depth, Celtic, and that might just win them a game, their substitutions.
It'd be interesting to see if he learns his lesson the way Tam was talking about the other day and drop him 6 right at the start.
No, it'll be full strength.
You know, I don't think he wants to go down that road again and say, right, we're that good, I can take 6 players out here and win this game.
With all due respect to him, I think he's got a brilliant dilemma and a great way to inspire some of the players. Not that they need inspired. I always think there's a great line of football. Anybody who needs motivation to play for Celtic or Rangers shouldn't be in the dressing room. You know, you should be motivated every time you pull the jersey on. But these players are playing and thinking, well, if I play well against Livingston, I'm going to be able to tell my kids that I played in the Bernabeu.
Yeah, listen, there's a huge carrot next week, as you know. You know, to go and play in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid is a once in a lifetime achievement. So they'll all be wanting to be in that team, but I just think that I think he'll mix and match it. I think Giacomakis will play. I think you need that physical presence against Livingston. You know, somebody that can hold the ball up and get you up the pitch. I think he will go, you know, as physical as he can against Livingston. He'll try and match them up. And you don't want to get bullied at set pieces. He'll play as many bigger players as he can as well. So just to try and match what Livingston have got.
And if I was to take a leaf out of your book and roughies from big games that you've played in, if I was Greg Taylor, I'm only offering Greg a bit of advice at the moment, but in the last couple of minutes of the game in the Bernabeu, if he's playing, I would go against the manager's wishes. You know how the manager would, I mean, it's a dead rubber, Ruffy. You're going to play there, you want to play for pride, but in the last couple of minutes, I would say to myself, look, I know the manager wants me to sit in this bank of 4 at the back, but I'm going to now go and man Mark Modric just for that last 60 seconds until the referee blows his whistle.
Yep.
And then you get the shot. And then you get right off the park, Ruffy.
Benzema. I think that's a two. But I done that in America against Beckham, and it didn't work. Last couple of minutes we were playing LA Galaxy and I dropped into the left midfield row from centre forward. And the whistle went, I sort of right into him straight away, can I get a strip? I'll speak to you after the game. And I went into the dressing room and I says, oh, David said he was giving me his jersey. No, he's already gave it to somebody else.
Oh, that's lousy, isn't it?
Aye, yeah. As if he never a million jerseys. He gave it to boy Terry Cook. It played in Man City, Man United, was his pal.
Is that right?
I gave it to Cookie.
You think you would have had a couple, and the old trick, Ruffy,
because I was Scottish.
You take the 3 foot jerseys, you put one under the tap, you rub it on the grass as if you played it, and then you hand it over. Is that fair?
I'll never forget that when we played East Germany. And the boy came in and just took all the jerseys, all the Scotland jerseys, and away through to the East German dressing room. And the boy come back, we had big Dodder t-shirts. There's no numbers on them. It wasn't even a badge. Chigemo was going absolutely mental. Mentally was going, what are t-shirts?
Yeah, well, to be fair, needs must, Ruffy. You could replace your shirts. The East Germans at that time probably couldn't. Dundee United against Motherwell. Dundee United, again, you think they beat Aberdeen, they suddenly turned over Hibs. You think, oh, they're getting their act together here, and then having had a win in 3.
Yeah, I think this is a hard one to predict. I think I'm going to sit in the fence in this one, big time. Yep. I don't know what the sit in the fence would be.
He's going to go one each.
Yeah,
I can do the others.
I know. He's so predictable.
I can't separate them at all.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go one.
She does it all the time.
Yeah, it does. Ruffy, I agree with you. This is the one game when I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, Motherwell could go there and get a draw, because you know Dundee United for me. I don't know how I don't know what the real gut feeling is. I'm going to ask a few of my mates who are Dundee United fans from a fan's perspective on it. I don't know how you view United this season. Liam Fox, no harm to the boy, is in there. He's got a difficult job to try and get him to buy into his philosophy. If it's good enough, if he's strong enough to try and he gets enough time to build it. They've got a lot of experienced players in there. They've got a few players who are lippy. I don't know about Dundee United. I would never put any money on them in a game. You never know what you're getting.
No, and who would have thought that after beating Alkmaar, that great performance that night at Tannadice, and the hype after the game. Dundee United are going to be in contention for third place, and it all went to rice and sen. 7-0 hammer, and they've not recovered for that. I agree. This is a difficult one for me to call, but I'm just going to edge towards Dundee United to win the game. Motherwell struggling to score goals at the minute, playing a lot of nice football, struggling to score goals. I think home advantage Dundee United. They need to start picking up points. They're bottom of the league. They need to start picking up points. And if they do win this, I think they drag Motherwell back into it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a narrow win. I'm going to go for 1-0 at Dundee United.
Yeah, 4 wins in 16 games, Tam. 4 wins and 3 draws. The rest are all defeats.
Yeah, Stephen Fletcher scored last week. I think he'll be back in the team. Tony Watts, scored a few goals. I just think they've maybe got a couple of goals in them. I'm not sure Motherwell will have at the minute. They're still trying to search for that right blend up front. Van Veen, by all accounts, spat the dummy out last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Dundee United just to narrowly win it.
Okay, I'm going 1-1. Rafi, you're 1-1, yeah.
Yep.
Hibs against St Mirren. Could be an interesting one because obviously the manager has been responding, maybe just slightly irked by some pundits who've been offering criticism of the club. So Kerry Pollock went out to Tranent to find out about what's happening in the Hibs camp ahead of this game.
Lee Johnstone, the Hibs manager, has been looking ahead to this weekend's fixture against St Mirren at Easter Road, who have been surprising and who have been taking the fight to the most unlikeliest of opponents already this season. Lee Johnstone says to get the victory on Saturday that they'll have to break down a solid St Mirren defence. After going on the run of 3 straight defeats, Hibs will be desperate to start picking up the points once again. And having already played St Mirren already this season in Paisley, here's what the Hibs boss learned the first time around.
To disrupt a resolute defence is not easy. And especially when it's 11v11. So that's something that we have to have, that's what we have to improve, is that quality in the final third, whether that be the goal ball or the finish itself. I think we've got the potential to really increase, and it'd be a good test for us because of the way they play and the contrasting styles.
Yeah, there's a middle section there, Tam. I was wondering where the hell he was going with that chat. but nevertheless, these two teams take points off each other each season. You can't say which one. I think St Mirren will feel confident, if anything, because of what Stephen Robinson's producing with the players he has.
Yeah, I've been really surprised with St Mirren this season. I think that, start of the season in the League Cup, put out that early doors, didn't start the season particularly well, but on a great run of form. Look very, very difficult to break down. Gogic sitting in there, they've got a lot of hard work, and Ethan Errahon in the middle of the park's been excellent for them. Main scored, the wee boy Grieve, the boy Jonah Ayaunga, I've probably butchered his name there, but they've got goals in their team as well. They're playing with confidence. I think this is a difficult game for Hibs. I like Lee Johnstone, I like the way he speaks, but he's totally right there what he said. They've got to be better in the final third. They are peppering teams with shots and corners, and they're not scoring enough goals. I think they've scored 12 goals in 14 games, or 14 goals in 12 games. So they've got to improve that, and I think they're going to struggle to break down St Mirren.
Yeah. And what do you make of the manager? He's slightly irked with you?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I just think that 5 loan players at a club like Hibs, if they're top notch and they're all playing, then fine. But you've got an under-19 team who won the other night against Nantes. I'd like to see some of the boys get an opportunity. Nothing against the guys that come in on loan, but I think when you're trying to supplement your team, I think you're looking at your youth setup, and you've got to give people opportunities. And I was fortunate to take an opportunity at Hibs. So was Gary O'Connor and Scott Brown and guys like that.
Do you get a good feeling from the players who are in that youth side?
I do. I think there's 2 or 3 crackers in there. Real quality players. Murray Aitken, Ethan Laidlaw, Josh O'Connor. The 2 McIntyre brothers. I think there's a lot of quality in that youth setup, so I would like to see them maybe getting a wee opportunity in the first team, as most Hibs fans would as well. So that was only my point, and I think that overall I think Lee Johnstone agreed with it, but here we want to have more impact from the loan players that he's got.
Yeah, the only thing I can hear in my head, Ruffy, is the amount of managers I've sat down with and had a pint with them away from the microphone, and they go, if I hear one more person talk about youth when they want the here and the now, they want the team to win now.
No, you're right. I don't have a problem with loan players as long as it's only maybe 1 or 2, but I think 5 walking about a dressing room. I mean, I've never been on loan. Tam's been on loan a couple of times. I don't know what the mindset is. What are you? I'm not going to be here permanently. What do I do? What do I do with myself if I don't get a game? I'm here to play. You know, the team that I've left haven't seen me playing. They're not getting any report. So,
well, the worst situation I ever saw, I think, was under Pat Fenlon.
Yeah, there was a cup final. Cup final. I think Hibs had about 8 players on loan players on the part. And you could see there wasn't any. They weren't fighting for each other. You know, they were if you were a player. You know, but I mean that might not be everybody.
Okay, what are you going for?
I think Hibs have got to win games. He's got to win games. He can't keep coming on talking about we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I'm going to go Hibs to win 2-1.
Okay, I'm going to draw 1-1.
I'm going to go for Hibs to edge it. I'm going to go for 2-1 as well.
It's just a gut feeling, no logic.
Just a gut feeling, but I think it's going to be a really, really tight game. Can't see it being an emphatic one either way, but I'm going to go for 2-1 for the Hibees.
I mean, it's amazing, St Mirren, 6 wins out of 9 games and a draw in there as well. Only 2 defeats.
Yeah, they're difficult to break down. Stephen Robinson's got a certain way of playing. They all work hard for each other. You know, they're physical, but they've got goals in them as well. They've got a wee bit of quality in their team. So I think it's going to be a difficult game for Hibs, but surely Hibs they've got to come good. They've got to take these opportunities, and they've got to give somebody a scalping. I don't think it'll be tomorrow, but I think that it's on the cards for Sunday.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what the crowd is. I don't know what the prices are to get in.
It was gut wrenching, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, a sell-out crowd. It's a great chance.
It'd be interesting to see how many people have bought into that performance, and the attendance will show that.
Yeah, I mean, you two did you pick Hibs to win there?
2-1.
Yeah, it's amazing actually. You two guys have picked Hibs to win, and they've lost 9 goals in the last 3 games, and they've only scored 2, 3 consecutive defeats. So
you've got a Hibs legend, didn't you? Yeah. And Ruffy's here as well.
Yeah, picking it well. That's for people are hanging on your every word. I just thought I'd offer you some kind of stat to try and question your logic. But nevertheless, that's what you said, so we'll go with it. Anyway, St Johnstone against Kilmarnock. Again, I'm looking at the bottom end of that table, Ruffy, and the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking to myself, I don't see Kilmarnock being involved in that, although they're still in the mix.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've had an incredible wee spell there, but they're still 3 points away from bottom of the league.
I know, and they're only a point ahead of St Johnstone.
Yeah, so they have been very fortunate. I think they've got a couple of breaks here and there in some of the games, but you'll take them.
Yeah, I beg your pardon, St Johnstone are a point ahead of them.
Goalkeeper slipping, that, and getting thing. I mean,
Kilmarnock's in the Ross County this season for Ruffy, innit? He doesn't like giving him credit at all.
I know.
No, I'm not going to give him credit because I think they will get a draw up there. Because I'm not. Although St Johnstone won last week, there I think they weren't going to win last week, were they? If he hadn't got set off.
I thought they were poor.
So I'm again sitting on the fence in this one. I'm going to go 1 each.
Yeah, you go for a draw in this. It's a lot of draws we're all going for in this. And here's a point. I quote. I was reading Gordon Parks in the Daily Record, who mentioned, and I know you know Gordon as well, who mentioned that out with maybe 3 clubs, is there any progress from all the other teams? Because we're finding it difficult to actually pick winners week in, week out, because it's so erratic. Has the Premier League gone backwards, some of these teams? Is there any progress in them whatsoever?
I think that the results in Europe would bear out that it's not. I think that the product, I don't think it's the same quality as it was 15, 20 years ago. And I hate old players going back and saying, it was back in my day, but early 2000s, I thought the SPL was very, very strong.
Yeah, it had a lot of money and it had a lot of foreign players, which was to the detriment of our international game, Tam.
It was. There was a lot more money swirling about now, but I just think the overall quality in the league isn't great, and that's why we're sitting 1 eaches, 2-1s, all tight games. They're all much of a muchness, all the teams. Bar, Celtic, Rangers, possibly Hearts. I probably agree with Partsy on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm saying, so why have a youth academy? Why have players playing in your youth system if you're not going to give them a pathway, Ruffy, towards it? And I sometimes look at players that are brought in from elsewhere. Some of them, okay, you get the odd gem as a free transfer, few and far between, may I add, or you get a loan signing that we've been discussing in this programme that comes from somewhere else. So, you know, there's got to be players that you can give that magical 100 games to. Some players, by the way, who are maybe not getting rave reviews, they're not the Aaron Hickey, you know what I mean? They're not the Greg Taylors of the world. There may be somebody that if they got games can progress and become better. Because look at Andy Robertson. I know Andy Robertson doesn't need to justify his pathway now. That was all about Andy Robertson actually belief in his own ability. But there are players that can, if they're given a run, become better players.
Yeah, you would think some of the clubs would realise that, because as we spoke about it the other day, we were talking about all the young kids that are now abroad and playing in Italian football.
Yeah.
Now, if they hadn't been given a chance when they were young, they wouldn't be where they are.
Is it the pathway? is it that we've got a bigger percentage of them now getting a chance? And in the flip side of that, is it a case that they're not given a longer run in our Scottish Premiership because it's so cutthroat? It's 12 teams and everybody's fighting off relegation from game 3.
Yeah, I would agree.
Apart
with
from
that.
Celtic, Rangers and
I
Hearts.
think you get players, you know, who you look at and you go, they're exceptional, they don't get a game. I'm going to pick one player out in particular, the boy Lowry at Rangers.
Yeah.
I think he's good enough to be in that Rangers team, you know, but obviously he's got...
Injuries apart.
Yeah.
He's back now, he's been in the last few squads.
Yeah, but he should be playing. You know, what the evidence I saw, what he's been playing, he's as good as some of the midfield players that Rangers have got.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to go St Johnstone, Kilmarnock 1.
I've went one each.
I'm going to go 0-0.
0-0.
0-0. I think that game will be terrible.
Yeah. Is this a moment where Ross County at the bottom end of the table and Jan the Staggy hangs on Ruffy's every word, but you said Hearts find it tough Thursday, Sunday doesn't do them any favours.
No, it doesn't, and this is another difficult game. You know, travel up there. They'll probably go up today, I would think, and stay overnight. You know, off the back of playing last night. So it's playing Sunday, so they'll go up on Saturday night and they'll stay over. But quick turnaround. I think Ross County well rested. Hearts, Stephen Kingsley come off as well. You know, another blow for him, but I think Hearts will just nick it 1-0.
Yeah, 1 win and 9 for Malky's side. they go on, put the boot in. You know what you're like.
I'm on the wane, you know.
Yeah.
What's their name again?
Jan.
I'm sorry, Jan. I'm beginning to will. I don't think Ross County have hit the heights I thought they were going to hit.
Yeah.
I don't think the players that they brought in, this year are better than what he got last year. So every game's a battle for him. It's going to be hard for Hearts, you know, after that game, but I think they'll be buoyant. We're getting the 3 points, and I think it'll be a good place to be at Hearts. So I think Hearts are going to just nick this.
Yeah, I've got Hearts to win it 2-1.
1-0 Hearts.
2-1 Hearts.
Okay, here is the English Premier League fixture card. If you are looking at what's happening over the weekend, Leicester, Man City, Newcastle against Aston Villa, it's Bournemouth against Tottenham, Brighton take on Chelsea, Crystal Palace against Southampton, Brentford, Wolves, Fulham against Everton, Liverpool against Leeds United, which used to be in the 70s, I have to say, one of those eagerly anticipated matches, Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, and Manchester United take on West Ham. That's the pick of the games there. And if anything, when you look at Liverpool getting the win against Ajax, but still people are looking and thinking you can't fall any further behind in this. Sooner or later, Klopp's got to get it turned around. Yeah,
they've got to keep winning games. Champions League, they're doing okay. You know, I think they're obviously a good result during the week, but you know, they've got to be competing for that top 4. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near winning the league, but to get in the top 4 this year, I think would be decent for them in the position they're in at the moment. Yeah, okay, you can give us your thoughts on those games. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and if you download the app, you get all the breaking football news. It is uncensored, it is absolutely free to watch, and you'll get not only news, views and interviews, but you also get the banter as well, between us and you, and of course some of your fellow fans as well. Just before we go, Ruffy, a couple of games tonight: Morton, Inverness, Cally Thistle, Queen's Park, Dundee. You know, huge implications at the top end of the championship.
Yeah, it certainly is. Inverness are doing particularly well with the amount of injuries they've got. They're still churning out wins. It's a very, very tight at the top. we will possibly be really interested in the Queen's Park Dundee game. I think Dundee will come good eventually, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. You know, Queen's Park still playing at Stenhousemuirs Park, so they were impressive against us last week, particularly in defence and up front. So eagerly waiting that scoreline.
Yeah, and of course you've had a few slip-ups along the way here. You need to go to Wraith Rovers and win.
Yeah, we do. You know, it'll be interesting to see how he sets the stall out. You don't like losing goals, and that's like two fours in a row. So you don't want to be defensive, but I don't think he will be defensive. So it'll be interesting to see what the lineup is on the day.
Yep, it's tight up there. It's 21-21 Inverness at the top, a point behind Partick Thistle and Queen's Park, and then just 2 further points behind you guys, as you mentioned, Ruffy. 18 points, Dundee and Morton. So it's going to be an interesting weekend in the Championship. Just one little story that caught my eye again, Tam. And again, sometimes stories are thrown out and then regurgitated just to see if it can stoke interest. It's placed. I call them placed stories for time, just to see how the land lies. And this one caught my eye today. This morning was the European Super League suggestion that Rangers and Celtic could be enticed into the new setup. Of course, these are just little caveats to try and destabilise UEFA along the way, because essentially what we've got with the European Super League is basically a group of people trying to put together live golf in football.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. A lot of these clubs are heavily in debt, as we know. You know, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they want to play against each other and create this Super League where they get all the money themselves. You know, and Celtic Rangers, would they want to be part of that? Probably, if the money was right. I think the rest of the clubs in Scottish football would love that. Your Hibs fans, Hearts, St Mirren. I think the league here would be more competitive. You know, more opportunities for teams to win the league, but I think that.
But would you lose out domestically? This is where there's a great grey area. Do you play in a breakaway Super League, which is not under the umbrella of UEFA, so you then can't play in UEFA's competitions, but do you still play in your own domestic league? And if you do, the implications of winning that league means no entry into UEFA competitions. Do you see how complex this whole thing gets?
It's very similar to Live Golf. You know, you made a good point there. They'll try and entice the bigger clubs away and get with the most money, but I think that Celtic and Rangers eventually, you know, will be looking to be part of that. You know, maybe not in their lifetime, but I think they'll be looking to be part of the big boys.
But the big question is, if it was a Super League, say a 12, would Rangers and Celtic make that 12?
I'm not so sure they would, but I think they should be considered on the basis that their fan base and their global appeal is way above so many clubs in European football. I mean, I think Celtic and Rangers, you know, have a greater appeal than Ajax or PSV. You know, they may well have a richer history, Ajax, with regards to winning the Champions League, but I don't think they've got the global appeal that Rangers and Celtic have.
No, I'm just off the top of my head trying to think of the 12 teams. You'd obviously
Juventus, Real Madrid, and Barcelona are driving it,
and Germany, and then you'd have England.
You definitely, but no, they would want to exclude them. This is the story today saying that they might. Well, the reason why it's the driving force is one. The only reason it's still going
English teams
is to compete with them, because English football has created such a huge imbalance in Europe now, that, as I said to you 5 years ago on this programme, watch the way the European competitions go. English football will dominate. You cannot keep signing big deals, and they're on the verge of coming up shortly. You know, they've got new deals with American TV companies as well. The money going into English football is incredible. So what's happening is there's a huge imbalance. Plus, you've thrown in the mix. Real Madrid and Barcelona are in huge debt. So they're saying to themselves, how can we possibly compete without either going into further debt or working out where we get the revenue from elsewhere? Celtic and Rangers' desire is just basically, can we get more money than we're getting in this domestic league?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, but as we've seen just now, you know, at the end of this Champions League, there's going to be full English clubs.
Yeah.
You know, they're all going to be there at the end of the day.
I mean, if there is a breakaway European Super League, Ruffy, in the next couple of years, I mean, would you be able to look at me and say, you know, Peter, I'm available for Turin. I'm going to go to Turin this week with you. And would you be able to say to the Partick Thistle board, how would Jerry react to you saying?
Well, hopefully it'd be midweek games.
Oh, so so you'd bid any trip to Wraith Rovers in the midweek?
No, I like going to Kirkcaldy.
Oh well, there. That's good news for you, Tam. He goes to Kirkcaldy.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
go to Turin.
Yep.
Ruffy. So,
Thistle not got a game next midweek, no?
No midweek games.
No.
Why are you going to Madrid?
which is great.
You wouldn't have went then if it was a
Yeah, oh,
game.
definitely not. I'd have
Just
to
out of
let you
curiosity.
down. You could have went.
Aye. Absolutely. Which brings me nicely to the point. Do you want us to bring you something from Madrid? A glass. You like a pint glass,
Aye,
don't
get
you?
us a pint glass.
Got a
Okay.
sombrero.
No, no. It's a game that's a dead rubber. We were hoping that it would be alive and kicking and something to play for. There's always pride, I suppose. So next week, if you can, do join us, because from I think once we touch down on Monday, Ruffy, then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we'll be doing shows from Madrid. Certainly, looking forward to going to the Bernabeu.
Yes, there's a magnificent stadium. I saw pictures of it. It's getting rebuilt. It's not finished yet, is it? In 2 or 3 months down the road
Refurbished,
before
yeah.
it's refurbished. I hope we're not too high up.
Yeah.
You're looking down as you see ants running about. We were high up at Barcelona.
The Camp Nou, yes.
Yeah, we were
absolutely.
high up. And,
To be fair, I think it was a bonus for us, because as each goal was blasted in past Brendan Rodgers' Celtic, it became more and more difficult to commentate on. But nevertheless, want to see Scottish clubs do well. We'll be there. We'll be keeping an eye on a huge game at Ibrox as well. Our reporter Kerry Pollock will be there for Rangers against Ajax, and what a game that's going to be as well. Let's not forget, Hearts are going to Turkey to play Istanbul, and we'll be in the Bernabeu for Real Madrid against Celtic. Click on the subscribe button there, join the football family. It's uncensored, it is football content that I think you will enjoy, and of course you get a fair bit of banter from all our pundits, and we'll be going all the way through the World Cup as well, bringing you shows, interviews, one-to-ones, some really special dream teams. I think you're going to enjoy the content, but you'll have to become part of the team. Download the PLZ Soccer app as well, and you'll get all the breaking football news. So, with that in mind, have a great weekend at the football. Enjoy it if you can. From Tam, from Ruffy, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.